Evan never thought a simple joke could change his whole life. He was only a human student on the mining planet Ravos 9, a place where the sky was always purple and the ground always smelled like metal dust. Every day was the same: study, work, sleep, but everything changed the day Lyra made that joke. Lyra was not human. She was an Aravellian girl, tall and light blue, with glowing white patterns on her skin that moved like tiny stars. She sat at the edge of the training yard, watching the other students laugh and talk. Even though she was different from everyone, she always carried a small smile, soft and quiet, like she understood things no one else could. Evan liked talking to her. She was calm, smart, and sometimes funny in her own strange way. But that day, something unusual happened. During their break, a few boys started teasing Evan. "Hey, human, why don't you impress Lyra?" One boy laughed. "Yeah," another added. "Maybe she'll like you if you bring her a gift." Evan rolled his eyes. "Stop it." But Lyra suddenly turned her head, her glowing eyes shining. "A gift?" she said, playful but mysterious. "Then bring me something real. Bring me." She paused for a moment, her smile stretching with mischief. "The rarest flower of Ravos 9. The boys laughed loudly. "What flower? There are no flowers here. That's a legend. No one has ever seen it." Everyone knew the story. Ravos 9 was not a friendly planet. It was rocky, harsh, and silent. Long ago, people believed a magical blue flower grew deep inside the living forest, but the forest had swallowed every explorer who searched for it. Now it was nothing more than a myth told to children. But Lyra continued, raising one eyebrow. "If you find the rarest flower," she said softly, "maybe I will be yours." The boys whistled and shouted in surprise. Evan's face turned red. He tried to laugh it off. "Oh, come on. You're kidding." Lyra giggled a light musical sound. But then something strange happened. Her smile faded. Her eyes dropped. For just 1 second, she looked sad. No one else noticed. But Evan did. Why did a simple joke make her expression change like that? Why did her eyes look like she remembered something painful? Before he could ask, the alarm rang, calling the students back to training. Evan tried to focus, but his mind kept replaying the moment. Why that flower? Why that legend? Why did she look scared afterwards? Later, when class ended, Evan walked home alone through the dusty colony streets. Lights flickered on the metal buildings, and machines hummed in the background. Miners returned from work with tired faces. Ravos 9 always felt heavy, like the whole planet was breathing slowly under the ground. But that evening, something felt different. Evan stopped near the perimeter wall, staring at the dark forest beyond the electric fence. The trees were tall, twisted, and covered in strange glowing veins. Everyone called it the living zone. People said it had a mind. They said it chose who entered and who never returned. He heard the boys' laughter in his memory. He heard Lyra's soft, joking voice. He saw her sad eyes. Suddenly he felt a pull inside him, like the forest was calling. "It's just a joke," he told himself. She didn't mean it, but deep down he knew she meant something. Something more than a joke. That night, Evan couldn't sleep. He lay awake in his small metal room, replaying every detail: Lyra's smile, her sudden sadness, the myth of the flower, the forest that no one dared to enter. He remembered his father's words from years ago. "Sometimes, Evan, the universe tests you in strange ways. If something feels important, follow it." The next morning, the sun had barely risen when Evan walked toward the edge of the colony again. Mist floated over the forest floor, glowing slightly in the soft purple light. The electric fence hummed softly. Evan stood there for a long time, staring at the entrance gate. He knew it was foolish. He knew it was dangerous. But something in him refused to turn back. Steps behind him made him jump. Lyra stood there, quiet as a shadow. Her glowing patterns were brighter than usual, as if she was nervous. "You," came here early," she said. Softly. "So did you," Evan replied. She looked at the forest, then at him. For the first time, her voice did not sound playful. "You should not go inside," she whispered. "Why not?" he asked. Her eyes met his. He expected her to laugh, to say it was all a joke again. But instead, she spoke in a calm, serious tone. "Because the flower is real," she said, "and the forest protects it." Evan felt his heartbeat slow. The air around them grew cold. It wasn't a real joke. Was it? He whispered. Ray didn't answer. She just looked at him with frightened, glowing eyes that held secrets she wasn't ready to share. Then she stepped back, turned around, and walked away without another word. Evan watched her go. Then he looked at the forest again, and he made his choice. He opened the gate and stepped inside. The joke that wasn't a joke had just begun to change everything. Evan expected the forest to feel cold, quiet, maybe even empty. But the moment he stepped inside, he felt something strange, like the air was aware of him. The trees were tall and twisted, covered in glowing blue veins that pulsed like slow heartbeats. The ground was soft, almost too soft, as if something under the soil was moving gently. A thin mist floated around him, brushing his skin like fingers. It was beautiful and terrifying. For a moment, Evan thought about going back, but then he remembered Lyra's face from earlier, how her glowing eyes had filled with fear when he said she wasn't joking. He didn't understand what she meant, but he knew one thing: she didn't want him here. And that only made him more curious. He took a deep breath and walked deeper into the forest. The forest notices him at first. He heard nothing but his own footsteps. Then the forest responded. A soft wind blew, though no leaves moved. A low hum vibrated behind him, like the sound of a heavy machine waking up. Lights flickered above his head, blue orbs floating among the branches. Evan froze. The orbs circled him slowly, glowing brighter as they came close. He lifted a hand carefully. One orb drifted near his fingers, then darted away as if laughing. Were these animals, or something else? The forest felt alive, not just because of plants, but because something was watching him. "Many things, maybe," he whispered. "I'm not here to cause trouble." The air pulsed in reply. As if it understood the secret path Evan walked for an hour, careful and slow, marking trees to remember his way back. The ground began to glow faintly under his boots, creating a soft blue path. But the marks he left disappeared. He would scratch bark, and the bark would heal instantly. "This place is messing with me," he muttered, but he kept going. A little further ahead, he saw something strange: 3 stones floating in a circle, spinning slowly. A faint light formed between them, shaping a thin trail leading deeper into the forest. "That wasn't here before," Evan whispered. He felt pulled again, not by force, but by a strange calm inside him, like the forest was guiding him somewhere important. He followed the path. Meanwhile, Lyra knows the truth. Back at the colony, Lyra stood near the training yard, staring at the forest gate Evan had disappeared into. Her hands trembled slightly, glowing brighter with nervous energy. She spoke quietly to herself. "He does not know what waits inside. He does not know what the forest does to outsiders." Her people, Aravellians, were not allowed to reveal the truth to humans. They shared school, food, and work, but not secrets of the heart forest. She remembered the old stories her mother used to tell her, stories about the rarest flower, the heart of Ymira, a sacred bloom that only revealed itself to those with a pure bond. Her people believed the forest chose who was worthy. Humans were never chosen. Never. That was why she joked. A harmless test. A joke that would be forgotten. But Evan was not supposed to walk inside the forest. He was not supposed to take her words seriously. And he was definitely not supposed to be someone the forest noticed. Her chest tightened with fear. If Evan survived the forest, if he reached the flower, her entire life would change. Back in the forest. Danger moves. Evan walked carefully when the light around him suddenly dimmed. The glowing trees flickered, and the mist thickened. Something heavy moved behind him, branches snapping, ground shaking. Evan turned slowly. A creature stepped out of the shadows. It stood almost 2 meters tall, covered in dark vines woven like armor. Its eyes were bright yellow slits, glowing with anger or hunger. Evan didn't know which. He held his breath and stepped back. The creature lowered its head and growled, a deep, vibrating sound that made his bones shake. Evan whispered, "Easy. I'm not here to hurt anything." The creature took a step closer. Its vines rattled like metal chains. Then, something unbelievable happened. A soft ring of blue light appeared on the ground around Evan, expanding outward like ripples in water. When the ring touched the creature's feet, it stopped moving. Its eyes widened. Its growl faded. It stepped back slow and confused. The forest pulsed once, glowing brighter, and the creature bowed its head before turning away and disappearing into the mist. Evan stood there shaking, trying to breathe. What was that? Why did the forest protect me? He didn't have an answer. But now he knew something. The forest wasn't trying to kill him. It was testing him. The message in the air. As Evan continued walking, the floating lights returned. But this time, they formed a pattern, 3 lights ahead, 1 behind, all moving in harmony, guiding him. He whispered, "Where are you taking me?" A soft, warm breeze touched his face in a forest where no wind should exist. Like an answer. Deeper he went, the more he felt something growing inside him. A connection. A strange comfort. A feeling like he belonged here. He finally reached a point where the trees opened into a wide clearing. In the center stood ancient stones covered in symbols he couldn't understand. But he recognized one thing. A faint blue glow rising from the ground. A heartbeat-like pulse. As if the planet itself was alive, Evan stepped forward. Amazed. He was not just searching for a flower. He was walking toward a secret older than any species he knew. And the planet wanted him to find it. Evan had seen forests on Earth green, noisy, full of birds and bugs. But the heart forest of Rarest 9 felt nothing like nature. It felt like stepping into someone's mind. The clearing he entered was round and perfectly shaped, as if carved by an artist. The ancient stones glowed with blue symbols that moved like liquid across their surfaces. Mist curled around his feet, warm and cold at the same time. The air hummed softly, almost like a whispered song. Evan swallowed hard. "Lie, don't belong here," he whispered. But the forest seemed to disagree. A gentle pulse of blue light swept across the ground once, twice, like a heartbeat welcoming him. Then the whispering began, not voices exactly, but memories. A forest that remembers. As Evan walked between the glowing stones, he heard faint echoes. A child's laughter. A woman singing. A deep voice saying ancient words in a language he didn't understand. The air shimmered, and for a moment, he saw something brief, soft, as if made of dust and light. A tall Aravellian woman standing beside a blue-flowered plant, a hand lifting the petals gently. A forest creature bowing to her. Then the memory faded. Evan blinked in shock. Was that real? The forest didn't answer, but he felt its awareness, felt its eyes, even though it had none studying him carefully. The slow movement above. He continued deeper, following the drifting blue lights that had become his guides. The trees grew taller, thicker, and more strange. Their roots twisted like giant spirals, creating arches he had to duck under. Their branches were long and thin, swaying even without wind. At one point, Evan heard a soft creaking above him. He glanced up and froze. A huge dark shape slid silently across the branches, long, smooth, and serpent-like. Its body blended with the wood as if it were part plant, part animal. Its many glowing eyes watched him. Evan didn't move. The creature didn't attack. It simply observed him. Then, Slowly, it disappeared into the canopy, melting into the branches like smoke. Evan let out a shaky breath. "Everything in this forest is alive," he whispered. "But why are they letting me walk here?" Whenever explorers tried entering before, they vanished. The colony had lost dozens of people over the years. But none of the creatures attacked Evan. They watched him, circled him, tested him, but never harmed him. Something was protecting him. But what? A growing connection. The deeper he walked, the stronger a strange feeling grew inside him. It wasn't fear. It wasn't calm either. It felt like recognition. Like the forest was calling something in him that he didn't know existed. He reached a fallen branch. When he touched it to move it aside, the branch glowed softly under his hand and slid away on its own. Evan stared at his fingers. "I didn't do that, did I?" He tried again, touching a vine nearby. It curled gently toward him, like greeting a friend. He stepped back quickly. This wasn't normal. This wasn't human. But then, maybe that was why Lyra looked scared when he walked in. Maybe she knew the forest only responded to a certain kind of person, and humans were not supposed to be among them. Shadows in the mist. Evan continued forward until the fog thickened, swirling around him like pale smoke. He could barely see more. Then a few steps ahead, then he heard footsteps, not heavy, not human, soft, like paws. He turned slowly. Shapes moved inside the mist, small creatures, glowing with tiny sparkles like walking stars. They watched him with deep, curious eyes. One of them stepped forward. It resembled a fox, but made of leaves and blue light. It limped. Evan crouched down. "Hey, are you hurt?" The fox-like creature tilted its head. It didn't run. It didn't growl. It simply looked at him with sad, questioning eyes. Evan slowly extended his hand. The creature hesitated, then placed its tiny paw on his palm. A warm glow spread between them, soft and golden. Through the fog, a deeper presence stirred. Watching the moment with intensity, Evan gently lifted the creature and checked its leg. A thorn of black stone was lodged in its side. Carefully he pulled it out. The creature let out a soft cry, then pressed its head into Evan's hand, grateful. The moment he freed it, the entire forest reacted. The mist glowed with warm golden light. The trees hummed with a deeper echo. Even the floating blue lights brightened. The forest approved. The forest shows its gift. The small creature ran off. Its limp healed. But it looked back once, as if inviting Evan to follow. Behind it, the fog parted. A narrow path formed, glowing brighter than any he had seen before. Evan took a step toward it, but stopped when he felt a sudden shift in the air. A large shadow moved behind him, slow, heavy, breathing. He turned. A giant guardian beast, much larger than the one he faced, earlier stood there, covered in green crystal armor and woven vines. Its massive eyes focused on him. Evan braced himself, but instead of attacking, the guardian bowed. It lowered its head in a deep, respectful gesture. Evan's mouth fell open. "That's impossible." The guardian stepped aside, revealing the glowing path the forest had made. The message was clear: "You have passed the test. Now walk toward the heart." Evan swallowed hard, pounding with fear and awe. Whatever lay ahead was meant for him. And for the first time he understood. This journey was not about a flower. It was about why the forest chose him. The glowing path stretched ahead like a ribbon of blue fire, guiding Evan deeper into the heart forest. Every step he took made the air warmer, softer, almost welcoming. The fog thinned, revealing more of the strange world around him. Trees with crystal roots, flowers that released tiny sparks, and vines that moved gently, like they were breathing. Evan felt no fear now, only curiosity, and a strange sense of destiny. The guardian beast that bowed to him slowly turned away, disappearing into the shadows. It did not follow him. It did not guard him. It had simply shown respect and left. Why? M.E.? Evan whispered to the empty forest. The forest didn't answer with words, but the lights above him flickered warmly, as if saying, "Because you listened, because you helped, because you cared." He walked further until the ground changed beneath him. The soft soil became smooth and cool, like polished stone. He looked down. There were patterns carved into the floor. Circles, spirals, ancient symbols glowing faintly. He followed them. The air grew heavy but calm, as if the planet itself was breathing slow and steady. Then he reached it. The heart chamber. The path opened into a massive circular chamber formed entirely by nature. Giant stone pillars rose from the ground like the ribs of some ancient creature. Thick vines hung from above, glowing like strands of silver-blue light. A soft wind circled the chamber, carrying the scent of something sweet, something magical. At the center stood a large flower-shaped structure made of crystal and living wood. It pulsed with gentle blue light, like a heartbeat. Evan stepped closer, mesmerized. He had reached the center of the forest. He had reached the place of the rarest flower, but the flower was not visible yet. The crystal shell around it remained closed, slowly glowing. Evan swallowed, his heart racing. "I actually found it." His voice echoed in the chamber. He reached out to touch the crystal, but before his fingers made contact, the ground shook. The pillars trembled. The vines rattled. The entire chamber pulsed once, violently. Evan jumped back as a deep roar filled the air. Not an animal sound, but something older, more powerful. The crystal shell began to open. The guardian appears from the shadows behind the central platform. A massive figure emerged. Evan's breath stopped. It wasn't like the earlier guardians. This one was ancient. Its body was formed from twisted roots, covered in glowing symbols. Its torso was shaped like a massive tree trunk, and its arms were thick vines braided together. Its face was carved wood with two enormous blue eyes that looked alive when it moved. The entire ground vibrate. He did. Evan stepped back instinctively. The guardian lifted its head and looked at him, really looked, not with hunger, not with anger, with judgment. Evan raised his hand slowly. "I'm not here to harm anything. The guardian roared. Not in anger. In testing. The air around Evan thickened, pressing against his chest. He felt the forest observing his heart, his fear, his choices. Memories flashed through him. Lyra laughing, her glowing eyes amused, her sad expression afterward. The injured creature he helped, the guardian bowing earlier. His own steps through danger. The air softened. The guardian lowered its head, slightly. Test passed. Evan let out a slow breath he didn't know he was holding. The flowers awakening stepped aside, giving Evan a clear view of the crystal bloom. It was opening. Layer by layer, petal by petal, the crystal folded back to reveal the glowing heart inside. Light spilled out, bright but gentle, painting the entire chamber in shades of deep blue and soft silver. Then Evan saw it. The rarest flower. Small, delicate, bright blue. Blue. Its petals shimmered like liquid stars. Every second, it pulsed with a heartbeat that felt alive, not plant-like, but personal. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. He approached slowly, heart pounding. The guardian watched without moving. Evan reached out a shaking hand and touched a petal. Soft, warm, alive, and in that moment he felt something enter his mind in emotion, a memory, a voice without sound. A vision flashed. A young Aravellian girl sitting beside this same flower, her small hands touching the petals gently, her eyes glowing with innocent joy. The girl was Lyra. Evan stumbled back in shock. What does Lyra have to do with this? The flower pulsed brighter, as if answering. She was connected to this place. She was born of this forest. She was tied to the flower itself. Evan understood something then. This wasn't just a challenge. This wasn't just a search. Lyra didn't joke about the flower. She feared the flower because it held her truth. The forest chooses. Evan reached forward again. The guardian lowered its head. The flower opened wider. The forest hummed. Evan carefully broke the flower from its stem. The moment he held it, the entire chamber erupted in light. Silver, blue, and gold swirling around him. The vines shook, the pillars glowed, and the guardian let out a deep, echoing call. The forest had chosen him. Through kindness. Through courage. Through heart. Evan stood in the center of the chamber, holding the rarest flower in his hand. And somewhere far away, Lyra felt it. Her breath caught. Her eyes glowed brighter. Her hands trembled. He found it. She whispered. Her life, her secrets, her destiny, all of it had just changed. Evan walked out of the heart forest carrying the glowing blue flower gently in both hands. Its light pulsed against his skin like a living heartbeat. Every step he took made the forest glow a little brighter, as if it was watching him leave. Proud of him, he didn't feel tired. He didn't feel afraid. He felt chosen. When he reached the edge of the forest, the heavy mist parted on its own. The electric fence, usually buzzing like angry insects, fell silent as he walked through. Even the metal gate unlocked without him touching it. It was as if the entire planet opened the way for him. The moment his boots hit the colony floor, people stopped what they were doing. Miners froze mid-step. Students dropped their bags. Guards stared with wide eyes, because no human had ever returned from the heart forest. But Evan was standing there, holding the legendary flower. The light reflected in everyone's eyes. Someone whispered, "Impossible." Another said, "That flower died centuries ago." A third added, "He should not be alive." But Evan wasn't listening. His eyes were searching for one person, and she finally appeared. Lyra Shock. Lyra stepped out from behind the training building, her face calm at first, until she saw what Evan held. Her breath caught. Her glowing eyes widened. She stopped walking completely. Her skin patterns flickered bright white, then dimmed, then brightened again, like she was malfunctioning. Evan froze. He had never seen her look that emotional before. He stepped closer. "Lyra, I found it." She didn't speak. She didn't blink. She just stared at the flower as if it were something holy or dangerous. Finally she whispered, "Evan, put it down." Evan blinked. "Why?" Her voice trembled, not with fear of the forest, but fear for him. That flower is not just rare, it is sacred. It is tied to my people. Humans were never meant to touch it. Evan looked at the flower, then back at her. "But the forest let me. It guided me." Lyra closed her eyes, pain passing through her expression. "That is exactly why you must put it down." A truth never meant for humans. Lyra stepped closer, slowly, carefully, as if walking toward a dangerous weapon. Her glowing patterns pulsed fast, reacting to the flower's energy. Evan extended it toward her. "I brought it for you." "Like you?" asked. Her face twisted, not with joy, not with amusement, but with something deeper. Regret. Double quote. "Evan, I wasn't joking." Evan felt his entire world tilt. "What do you mean?" Lyra swallowed, her voice breaking. "In my culture we never speak of this flower lightly. When we mention it to someone, it is a test, a sacred test, a promise test." Evan's heartbeat stopped. "A promise?" He echoed. She nodded slowly. "If the forest chooses the one who seeks the flower, then the seeker becomes bound to us forever." Evan stared at her, stunned. "Bound? How?" Lyra stepped even closer. Her glowing eyes softened, full of fear and something else, something warm. "It means the forest accepts your heart. And when that happens..." She reached out a trembling hand toward the flower. "You become part of our destiny. Mine." Evan felt his breath catch. "That's why you told me not to go inside," he whispered. "Yes," she said softly. Because no human has ever been chosen, and if you survived, then everything changes. Evan couldn't speak. Lyra looked down at the flower with deep sadness. I joked because I never thought you would take it seriously. I never thought the forest would answer you. I never thought, her voice cracked, that it would choose you. The flower reacts as she touched the edge of the flower with one finger. It reacted instantly. Light exploded, soft, warm, swirling around both of them. The crowd gasped and stepped back. Evan and Lyra stood inside a bubble of blue light, the flower glowing like a miniature sun. Lyra's eyes widened. She whispered, "To both of us." Evan felt a strange warmth spread from the flower into his chest, then outward, connecting him to something vast and ancient. Images flashed in his mind. A forest growing from starlight, a race of glowing beings, a girl blessed by the heart tree, a destiny shared by two souls. He stumbled back. "Lyra, what's happening?" She looked terrified and amazed. "The heart flower only bonds like this for one reason," she said softly. "It believes you and I belong in the same fate." Her voice shook. "This is not a joke anymore. This is something my people have waited centuries for." Evan held the glowing flower tightly. "And now what happens?" Lyra stared at him. "No smile, no teasing, no fear hiding in the shadows. Just truth. My people will come," she said. "And when they arrive, they will see you as someone chosen." Evan felt cold shivers run through him. Chosen for what? Lyra whispered the final words like a secret she wished she never had to share. "For me, for the forest, for everything that comes next." The glowing bubble around Evan and Lyra slowly faded, but the energy remained in the air, soft, warm, and powerful, like the last echo of thunder after a storm. People around them were frozen, too afraid to speak, too shocked to understand. But Evan wasn't thinking about the crowd. His eyes were fixed on Lyra. Her normally calm, glowing patterns were bright and restless, moving like waves across her skin. Her hands trembled slightly, as if touching the flower connected her to something much larger than herself. "Lyra," Evan said quietly, "what does it mean? Why is it bonding to us?" She didn't answer at first. She looked at the flower with a mix of awe and fear. Finally she whispered, "The heart flower chooses only when two souls are meant to share a destiny." Evan felt his breath stop. "A destiny? You mean?" Her voice stayed soft and steady, though her eyes shimmered with emotion. "Yes, it means a bond, not ownership, not romance, but something deeper, something ancient, something my people respect more than life." Evan swallowed hard. "What kind of bond?" Lyra looked up at him, this time not teasing, not distant, not scared, just honest. "It means the forest believes your heart aligns with mine." Evan stood still, stunned. He wasn't ready for destiny. He wasn't ready for ancient rituals. He wasn't ready for this planet to decide anything for him. "But I didn't know," he said. "I didn't understand what the flower meant." Lyra nodded sadly. "I know. That is why I asked you not to enter the forest. Humans don't know our traditions. You didn't know the meaning. But the forest does not care about knowledge. It cares about intent." Evan blinked. "Intent? You went inside not for glory, not for pride, not for challenge." She stepped closer. "You went because you were worried about me." Evan's heart pounded. "Because you looked sad." Lyra lowered her gaze, her voice breaking. "I was scared. Because I thought you would die. But I was also scared because..." She hesitated. "Because part of me wanted you to try." Evan stared at her. Suddenly everything felt heavier. More real. The flower speaks through light. The heart flower glowed again, this time brighter. A pulse of blue and silver spread across their arms, linking them through a soft shimmering pattern. The crowd gasped and stepped back, thinking something dangerous was happening, but Evan felt no pain. Instead, he felt clarity. Memories not his filled his mind again. a young Aravellian girl running through the forest. Lyra, years younger, resting beneath the heart tree, her mother placing a hand on her head, saying, "One day the forest will choose the person who stands beside you." The vision faded. Evan inhaled sharply. He looked at Lyra with shock. "I saw you," he whispered. "When you were younger, I saw your memories." Lyra's eyes widened in fear. That means the bond is already forming. She touched her chest, feeling a strange warmth there. "My people believe the heart flower reveals memories only when the connection is pure." Evan shook his head. "But why me? I'm not special. I'm just—" Lyra interrupted gently. "You are human, and humans do things my people do not expect." Evan looked confused. "Like what?" She gave a small, sad smile. "You help. You care, even when it is dangerous. Even when you get nothing in return. Humans act with emotion, not calculation. And sometimes the forest sees that as strength." Evan was speechless. The sky changes a deep vibration suddenly shook the ground. Evan and Lyra both turned there, eyes to the sky. A massive blue tear appeared in the clouds like a silent storm opening. Light shimmered inside it, swirling in patterns that looked disturbingly familiar. Evan whispered, "What's that?" Lyra's face drained of color. "There. Coming." "Who?" "My people." The ground shook again. A low hum filled the colony, vibrating through metal, stone, and air. Lyra turned to Evan, panic rising in her voice. "You must listen carefully. Once my people arrive, everything will change. They will sense the bond instantly. They will see you as part of our ritual. You cannot hide." Evan felt his stomach twist. "Will they hurt me?" Lyra stepped close, very close, her glowing eyes fierce. "No. They will treat you with honor. Too much honor. Because once the heart flower chooses, my people follow ancient laws." Evan swallowed. "What kind of laws?" She looked at the flower, then at him. "Laws of joining, laws of unity, laws of fate." Evan stared at her. "Unity? You mean—" Lyra held up a hand, stopping him. "We don't use the human word, but yes, something like a life bond." Evan took a step back in shock. "A life bond?" Lyra nodded slowly. "My people believe that when the forest chooses two people, their paths must remain connected. They must protect each other, stand beside each other, face the future together." Evan felt dizzy. He wasn't ready to bond with anyone. He wasn't ready for destiny. He wasn't ready for alien laws. But then Lyra said something he didn't expect. "If you reject the bond, my people will return me to the forest." "Forever." Evan froze. "What?" Lyra swallowed hard. "They will believe the forest made a mistake. And in our tradition, the one who fails the bond must return to the heart tree to begin again." Evan stared at her, horrified. "You'll be trapped there?" Lyra nodded softly. "Yes." The sky rumbled louder. Light broke through the tear. A massive shadow descended. Evan stared at the flower in his hand. He wasn't just holding a gift. He was holding someone's fate. The sky above the colony split open like a glowing blue wound. Light spilled through the clouds in ribbons, twisting and spiraling downward. The air vibrated with a deep humming sound, ancient, powerful, alive. Aravellians were arriving. Everyone in the colony stopped moving. Tools fell from hands. Lights flickered. Silence spread like a wave. But in the middle of the chaos stood Evan, holding the heart flower that pulsed gently in his hands. Beside him stood Lyra, her glowing patterns frantic and bright. Fear and destiny mixed in her eyes like storm clouds in starlight. "Evan," she whispered, "it's too late. They're almost here." The wind changed direction, pulling toward the sky tier. The air grew thick, charged with energy. Then a massive ship descended, silent but radiant. It wasn't made of metal. It looked grown, not built. Living roots formed curves and spirals. Blue light flowed through it, like veins. The ship touched the ground without a sound. Evan's heart pounded. Lyra stepped closer to him. The flower glowed even brighter. A long ramp extended from the ship, and an entire army stepped out. The warriors of the forest. They were taller than Lyra, taller than any human. Their skin carried brighter patterns, moving like galaxies. Their armor was made of living branches and crystals. Their eyes glowed with deep blue fire. They didn't look like soldiers. They looked like walking pieces of the forest. A powerful figure stepped forward, his presence dominating the entire field. His armor glowed with gold and silver vines. His eyes were sharp, ancient, wise. Lyra inhaled sharply. "That is my father," she whispered. "High Guardian Aerith." Evan felt the weight of the moment crush him, but he stood his ground. Aerith's gaze swept across the colony, landing on the flower, then on Evan. His eyes widened slightly, and the glowing patterns on his face shifted. In recognition. Then something extraordinary happened. Aerith lowered his head. His entire army followed. One by one, every warrior dropped to one knee, bowing toward Evan. The humans gasped. Some took steps back. Others fell silent in disbelief. Evan couldn't move. He turned to Lyra, and her face. Her face said everything. Shock, emotion, a kind of sacred disbelief. And something warm, something she tried to hide but couldn't. She whispered, trembling, "They're bowing." "To you." The chosen bond. Aerith rose and approached Evan slowly, each step powerful but respectful. When he stood a few meters away, he placed a hand over his heart in an ancient gesture of honor. "Human," he said in a deep, resonant voice, "you carry the heart of Ymira." Evan swallowed. "Yes, I didn't mean." Aerith raised a hand, stopping him. "The forest does not choose by accident." He turned to Lyra, his tone softening. "My daughter, the bond has awakened." Lyra lowered her eyes, overwhelmed. "Father." He didn't know what he was doing. "That does not matter," Aerith said gently. "Intent guides the forest." And the forest saw his heart. He looked at Evan again. "You entered the sacred forest without greed. You faced our guardians without fear. You healed its creatures without expecting anything. The heart flower opened for you, a miracle unseen for generations." Evan felt the weight of the moment press into him. Aerith continued, "And its glow now connects you to my daughter. The bond is formed. You are tied to her destiny, and she to yours." The warriors bowed again. Lyra's hands shook. Her voice was small. "Father, what does this mean for him?" Aerith stepped aside, revealing the flower in Evan's hands glowing brighter. "It means," he said softly, "his life and yours are now intertwined. You are bound protectors of one another." Evan's breath caught. Lyra looked down, emotions flooding her expression. He whispered, "Is this okay for you?" Her eyes lifted slowly. For the first time they weren't scared, they were soft. Open, real. "It is not what I expected," she said quietly. "But I am not unhappy." Evan felt the world slow for a moment. The final sign, the heart flower, pulsed once hard enough for everyone to feel it. Blue light shot upward, striking the sky. The tear in the clouds healed instantly. The wind calmed. Silence settled. The forest had spoken. The bond was real. Irreversible. Aerith stepped back and declared loudly, "Let it be known across the stars. The forest has chosen a human, and our daughter is bound to him." The warriors lifted their heads with awe. The humans watched in stunned silence. Lyra looked at Evan, really looked at him. Her face softened. Her eyes warmed. A tiny, shaky smile appeared. "You found the rarest flower," she whispered. "And now, we stand together." Evan felt a strange peace inside him, like the forest's heartbeat echoed in his own. He smiled back. "I guess the joke wasn't a joke after all." Lyra laughed a real, beautiful laugh, and the glow around them brightened. Her face, filled with wonder and disbelief, was something Evan knew he would never forget. And as the alien warriors rose, the heart flower glowing between them, anew, legend began, the human chosen by the forest, and the alien girl whose fate was forever linked with his.